Welcome back to First Take, presented by Chase Inc.
Game 6 tonight at the Q. This crowd is all in. They believe there will be a parade on Monday. But we still have a Game 6. Let's get down to the X's and the O's. Timofey Mozgov exploded for 28-10 in Game 4. He only played 9 minutes in Game 5, trying to match the Warriors' small lineup. Another questionable call by the rookie head coach, perhaps understandable because he is a rookie head coach. But we welcome back Chris Broussard. Let's talk about David Blatt and his future. Even if the Cavs were to go on and win this all, what do you think will happen to him after it's all said and done?
I think he'll remain the head coach, and I think he should. That's not to say he hasn't made his mistakes. And I was hearing up to a month ago that even if they went to the finals or maybe won, he could be out. But that talk has quieted down. Look, you go through learning stages. I mean, Eric Spoelstra made his mistakes early on with LeBron. David Blatt is an accomplished coach. It takes a while to learn the NBA. If they don't win this series, it will not be, in my opinion, it won't be because of David Blatt. It'll be because Kyrie Irving and to a lesser extent Kevin Love weren't there. Simple as that. I think they're going as far as they can go. That lineup, I don't want to get into that again, but without LeBron is carrying that team. So I don't blame David Blatt. Everybody's killing him because he didn't go big, didn't play Mozgov a lot. Remember, it was early, but they were down 8-2. Andre Iguodala, beyond getting the wide open three-pointers because Mozgov wasn't going out there to guard him, which he shouldn't have, Iguodala was roaming the baseline wide open while Mozgov is standing in the paint, doesn't even know where he's at. And remember, all of their baskets in that 8-2 opening run were dunks or layups. So I thought the small lineup was effective. They were right in that game.
I agree.
They were right there the whole way. I'm not saying you don't use Mozgov more, but I'm not going to kill David Blatt for that. So I think he should be back.
I agree with you. But I think that we need to understand and dissect exactly what's really going on here. And you know this, covering the league the way that you do. David Griffin, the general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers, is a staunch supporter of David Blatt. And Dan Gilbert is a staunch supporter of David Griffin. That is not the coach that LeBron James wanted. He wanted a coach with NBA experience. He has nothing against David Blatt, but he has nothing for him either. Because whatever he's done in all of his years of success as a coach in Europe has nothing to do with the NBA. If you're LeBron James, the reason why Spoelstra was easier to stomach than a David Blatt is because whether it was as a video coordinator to an assistant coach or whatever, Spoelstra made his bones in the NBA, and he had the backing of what some would consider the ultimate architect in Pat Riley. Well, in David Blatt, you have the backing of a David Griffin, who is unproven, even though he was an assistant GM in Phoenix. You have the backing of him, who LeBron wasn't necessarily sold on, and Dan Gilbert, who we all know he doesn't have but so much love for obvious reasons. And so when you look at it from that perspective, even though I believe for the most part that David Blatt has gotten a bad rap, because I believe when you are a novice and you are a rookie, you should be allowed to make certain mistakes. And the way people would get on him during the regular season, I had a real problem with, because I'm like, look, guys, what do you expect? I mean, of course he's going to make mistakes. Cut the man a break. This is his first year, and we all know that. Here's where the problem for David Blatt comes in. As Brian Windhorst has said on many occasions, he's a bit arrogant. He's about what he has accomplished in Europe, thinking that's indicative of what he can do on this level. And then on top of it all, when you see some of the flagrant mistakes, I mean, they could have lost that Chicago series if David Blatt, if the referee had seen him and allowed that timeout to be called before Tyronn Lue had yanked him. We also know that from a defensive perspective, some of the adjustments that are being made by Tyronn Lue, not David Blatt. some of the offensive adjustments haven't flagrantly worked or anything like that. And we're seeing that he's not necessarily making in-game adjustments. So the reason why I would agree with you is in terms of what should happen from the standpoint, this is your first year and you are in the NBA Finals. I mean, give the man a break. Where I possibly disagree with you is that we could think he's going to be back, but that's just when we're looking at him. What about when we're looking at LeBron?
Well,
LeBron's not going to come out and say, I want him fired. But what if LeBron sits there and lets it be known quietly, I'm not really happy. Y'all need to figure this out. And that's all he says. We know that LeBron is very conspicuous with his silence. And if he goes into this offseason, opts out, doesn't feel the need to make a move, immediately, wants to sit there and take a wait-and-see approach, then you may find yourself in a position where you got to make a decision because, trust you me, we may not know specifically what LeBron is thinking. The Cavs do. They do, or they will. And they may very well be forced to make a decision about their coach. And that's where it gets tricky. No matter how PC LeBron wants to be and he doesn't want to say anything, all eyes are going to be on him. He's going to need to step up and tell the Cavaliers, I don't want David Blatt to leave. If that doesn't happen, it can get tricky. I know they want to keep him, Griffin and Gilbert, but if LeBron doesn't say anything supportive and he could leave, it gets a bit messy.
But very unlikely, and I think you would agree that he says, I don't want him to leave.
That's right.
I think he'll just be silent.
He'll just be silent.
But if he wants him out, he has to go.
That's right.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
So what do you hear about Blatt's future?
I'm hearing that LeBron is ultimately going to be the one who makes the call because of his silence. Like Chris just said, if LeBron doesn't say anything, that's going to tacitly imply I don't support this coach. And you're going to have to make a decision. And let me tell you something right now. Cleveland, everybody happy here. And nobody, with all due respect, nobody gives a damn about David Blatt. Now, I'm not talking about me. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about me. I have no problem. I think he's a nice man. I think he deserves a fair shot. I have no issue with David Blatt. But the city of Cleveland and the Northeast Ohio area, they could give 2 cents about David Blatt. Everything's about LeBron. And if LeBron, as far as they're concerned, if LeBron passes gas and Blatt doesn't call it perfume, you got a problem.
I don't think there's any way David Blatt is back next year. I went so far yesterday.
What if they win it?
Well, that's what I said. I think that it's gone so far, from what I've heard, that so many players have been so upset with his rotations and his strategic or lack of strategic moves during games that they're just not going to stand for it going forward. And obviously it would start with LeBron James. Now, LeBron did help me out when it was it 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago?
Spoke up for him.
He spoke way up for him. It was sort of shocking to me that he said, I'm paraphrasing, but that it was ludicrous that there should be any criticism of this man. Remember that?
Allow me to interject real quick. I think you'll confirm this. That doesn't mean much.
No, I agree.
Anything that LeBron, no disrespect, but anything that LeBron James says for public consumption, it's really not. I'm talking about in terms of basketball, because he touches on social issues and beyond, and it's very profound. But in terms of basketball, meaning in-house stuff, what LeBron says to us doesn't mean anything.
No, I agree.
It had nothing to do with what he's doing behind the scenes.
Yep, no, I agree. But even the lack of playing time for a Mike Miller. I think Mike Miller's been very good when he has played. I would like to see a little more of Mike Miller tonight. He had a plus-minus of plus the other night, was the only Cavalier with a plus. Every time he's been in the game, something pretty good has happened. He did make a 3 the other night. So I don't know why he doesn't play him more. We've got all the Sean Marion issues going on. I don't know what's going on there. He seems to be deep in the doghouse. It just feels like it's not going to happen next year for David Blatt to be back here.
I think, as Stephen A. was saying, it's not just that if LeBron remains silent, but if he lets this contract thing play out, that's what it is. I mean, he can be silent because the Cavs can be like, well, we've got Blatt signed. We went to the 6th game of the finals or 7th game, or we wanted the coaching situation is not an issue. But LeBron could make it an issue if he waits and waits and waits to re-sign, and that's when something will have to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Chris Broussard. Always amazing. And your very first friend. When we come back for Holding Court, Carrie's Court, the fans get to talk to Skip and Stephen A. Back in a moment, folks. First Take on the road for the NBA Finals. Schedule.
I miss them so much.
You're not getting them back. They hate you for what you did. You scarred that poor little girl for life, physically and emotionally. Shame on you. They tell me every day how grateful they are to have me, because their last sitter was a worthless old bitch who couldn't take care of herself.